Okay, so there's this huge debate going on in Vietnam right now about moving big universities out of the busy city centers. And on the surface, it makes sense, right? It sounds like a simple urban planning issue. But what if we're starting this whole conversation from completely the wrong place? Let's get into it and see if we're even asking the right questions to begin with. So, right out of the gate, the discussion starts with this question: should we move the universities? But here's the thing: that question is flawed from the very start. We're so focused on the what and the where that we're completely missing the much more important why, and especially the who. So, here it is. This is the crucial point. The question we should be asking isn't where do we move the university? No, the real question, the one that changes everything, is whom is the university meant to serve? Just shifting that one word from where to whom, well, that reframes the entire problem. See, when you make the debate all about land and real estate, it just leads you down this very narrow path of infrastructure and city planning. But that whole approach completely misunderstands what a university actually is and, what makes it so valuable in the first place. Right now, the plan is literally about moving buildings. We're talking concrete and steel. But a university's soul, its very essence, isn't in the buildings. It's in the people. It's in the students, the professors, and that whole vibrant intellectual world they create together. This current plan seems to forget that human element entirely. So to find the right solution, we have to get on the same page about what we're even talking about. So let's ask, what is a university, really? Because it is definitely not just a bunch of classrooms and dorms. A great university is more like a living, breathing ecosystem. Yeah, it's a place for learning and research for sure, but it's also about building networks, getting hands-on real-world experience, and giving students a direct line of sight into their future careers. And none of that can happen in a bubble. And this is what that ecosystem actually looks like for a student. Imagine your journey. It starts in the classroom, obviously, but then it spills out. You're connecting with your friends, you're grabbing coffee, you're landing an internship at a company downtown. All of these pieces work together for your professional growth. And that whole journey is just seamless when the university is actually part of the city's fabric. So what happens when you take that amazing, complex ecosystem and just uproot it? What happens when you drop it in the middle of nowhere? Well, the fallout is pretty serious, and not just for the students, but for everyone involved. First and foremost, the students really lose out. They lose easy access to part-time jobs, to internships, to those critical connections with companies that could hire them someday. Suddenly, their world just gets a whole lot smaller, and their path to a career gets a whole lot tougher. And it's not just the students. The faculty gets cut off too. They lose their connections to industry partners, to research collaborations, and to all the professional circles that keep their work relevant and innovative. You just can't innovate in a vacuum. And when you strip all that away, what are you left with? The campus itself, it just loses its soul. Life becomes this boring, monotonous loop. You go to class, you go back to your dorm, you sleep, and you do it all over again. All the energy, the culture, the spontaneity you get from being in a city, it's all gone. One critic put it really powerfully, saying the university risks becoming nothing more than a level 4 boarding school. Ouch. Just a place to sleep and study, completely stripped of all the rich experiences that actually prepare you for life. But hey, the good news is we don't have to guess what works. We can just look at successful examples all over the globe, where the best universities aren't pushed out of cities. They're actually essential to their cities. And I mean, look at this. You can see the pattern clear as day. You can't even think of Stanford without thinking of Silicon Valley. The National University of Singapore is a core engine of that entire country's economy. Ghent University is totally woven into the city of Ghent. The lesson here is pretty obvious. The world's best universities are right in the flow of society, not hidden away from it. So this all brings us back to the real problem with the current plan in Vietnam. It's built on this flawed idea, this fundamental misunderstanding of what a university is even supposed to do. The approach can be called mechanical relocation. It's like you're just physically moving the assets, the buildings themselves. But you can't just mechanically move the knowledge, the networks, the spirit of the place. And what you're left with is a remote campus that's basically just an empty shell. Because at the end of the day, a university isn't just a location you can pin on a map. A university is a place that creates the future. So the real question is, are we building a future based on connection and opportunity, or one based on isolation?